Hey everyone, SolarPrimal here. I wanted to bring you guys a special video very similar to my little brief history with Super Smash Bros. Video. If you haven't seen that, it's right over there. This time I want to actually cover my history with Pokemon. Now this may or may not be a surprise to you, but I've been playing Pokemon since the beginning, like since it started, which was back when I was a wee lad, 10 years old, playing Pokemon Red. Now, there was a bit of an interesting story that way because growing up I was poor. I couldn't actually afford the game as soon as everyone else got it. First time I got to play was actually one of my friends who had brought blue version to a school, and I was like, oh, this is cool, and I bought like a bunch of potions, and then I was like, alright, here you go. And then he was like, what did you do? And I was like, oh, I just bought a bunch of potions, what's the big deal? And he's like, ah, and I'm like, ooh. Because of that, you know, I got very interested in getting the game. Funny enough, though, I eventually did get my own red version, and that was about it. Like, literally the cartridge. I still have the cartridge. It's just the red cartridge, that's it. I didn't have enough money to actually afford a Game Boy. So I was actually having to go over to my neighbors' houses and use their Game Boy Pockets. It took a little bit, but I eventually got my own Game Boy Pocket. I unfortunately don't have it anymore because I gave it away to my little sister when I was younger. So that's gone, unfortunately, and I'm really regretting that. I even lost my Game Boy Color, but we'll get there. But once I had those, I had the red version of Pokemon plus my red Game Boy Pocket, so I felt like a little cool. And it should be no surprise if you're actually familiar with my channel, but my first starter that I picked was, of course, Charmander, because I have a thing with the color red and fire, and I like fire. But yeah, that's where it all started for me. That's when I really got into Pokemon. You know, I didn't really understand the mechanics behind it, but I understood how to play the game, and I was enjoying this world we could explore and catch different types of Pokemon, finding new Pokemon when you got into a new route, and just the challenges of fighting the gym leaders. Just the way it was structured, they did a fantastic job out, especially for the first one, to just get all that settled. Ever since then, I've just been a Poke fiend. Still nowhere near Master. And then a couple years after that, Pokemon Gold and Silver came out, and I got myself a copy of Silver. And of course, I went with the Fire starter again, so I got Cyndaquil. He was my little fiery hedgehog thingy. I think he was a hedgehog. The fun thing about when I got that game was it wasn't just me playing it. Me, my sister, and almost all of our neighbor friends playing it along with us. So it was just like we all had our own teams, we could battle each other all the time, and that game alone, it hooked me in right away because not only was it a sequel to a game that I really loved, but it was also what you find out later in the game, spoiler if you've never played it, once you defeat the 8 gyms and face off against the Elite Four, you actually get to go back to Kanto because it's right beside it. It was great, you know, like then you got to go back and actually face those gym leaders, so if you had played Red or Blue, then you were just like, I can face him again, yeah! And then, you know, for me, that was a lot of fun. And I literally played that game every day because you got to get something every day. Red and Silver were the games that I actually trained my Pokemon up to level 99. Admittedly, in Red I cheated. I cheated because I did that missing go thing to get myself almost infinite rare candies, and I got my guys up to level 99 and we just do that until the game crapped out on me because of the glitch, because it is a glitch, you're not supposed to do it. And then kinda in between, for like that next 3 years, it wasn't about the game's aim, it was actually about the Pokemon cards. And just like a typical kid, I was all like, Mommy, I want this booster pack, it's only $10, give me money. Funny enough, you know, before I became addicted that way to the cards, I was poor, I couldn't afford it. So one of my close friends back then actually gave me one of his cards from his little starter pack thing, and it was a Machop, and it's just, I don't know, I held on to that thing like it was worth the world to me. My first Pokemon card, I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing, yay. Funny enough, my sister, she was actually good about keeping the cards more than the cartridges for the games, and she actually, for a good long time, she had Charizard, Venusaur, and Blastoise. Unfortunately, Blastoise actually got stolen from one of our neighbors that never admitted to it, and she is a You get the point. So eventually, Ruby and Sapphire came out. Now, I didn't buy it because I couldn't, because I didn't have the money to buy a Game Boy Advance, but that is when I discovered ROMs, and then I was able to play it. I don't condone that. I was poor, and my friend was like, hey, you can play games like this, and we're like, oh my god, that's amazing. Because of those, I was able to actually play Golden Sun, but that's another video for another time. But I did get to try out Ruby, and again, of course, I went for Ruby because I like red. There's no avoiding that. And I played it a little bit, and I was like, you know what, this is kind of fun. It sucks playing on the keyboard for me, but it's fun. So eventually, I did get a hold of a Game Boy Advance SP. That was the one that I actually flipped open. And I picked up a copy of Pokemon Emerald. So I still got to play it, and I was like, hey, look at this. Hey. And then I actually got all the way up to almost the Elite Four, and then I gave up. I was like, you know what, I rushed through the game too fast. I did like the story though. I really liked that. I guess that was something else that was really cool about Silver version for me, was that they brought back the same bad guys from Red and Blue. So you remember those bad guys, and you know they're bad guys. As soon as you see Team Rocket, you're like, hey, you got some bad guys. Yeah, there's no hiding it, especially the first thing you show them doing is kind of Slowpoke tails. It's like, whoa, man, gotta chill a little bit there. Oh, and with Ruby and Emerald, I should have mentioned that before, both times when I played that, I actually chose Torchic as my starter. Is that a big surprise at this point? Me picking the fire starter? No, unfortunately not. Actually, the thing that was more unfortunate was actually none of my friends were playing Pokemon at that time. Like, anyone that I knew that played Pokemon before either had moved away or they just weren't playing it anymore. Not even joking. I even tried bringing it up. They're like, oh, you still play Pokemon? That's for kids. That's something I'm gonna keep hearing for the rest of my life. But, oh well. So I played that and I got my joys out of that. And then, you know, for a good long time actually, come to think of it. You know, life moved on. I went through high school. Never really thought about Pokemon that much. I knew it was still a thing. I did play Fire Red. Can't lie about that. I did play Fire Red. And I was able to play because I had the Game Boy Advance SP. I did get to play it. And I played that one a lot, especially just because I had Red before and it was really nostalgic for me. So I was just like, oh my god, I'll get to play it again, yay! I guess that's my game face. But funny enough, that would be the first game I ever Let's Played on this channel. And of course I went with Charmander again because, come on, Charmander, he's great, you know, there's Charmander. Look at him, look how happy he is. Little flame tail and him saying, Char. You can never get me to do that again. I even have a Torchic up there, and 3 Chimchars, but that's beside the point. Then again, I fell off of Pokemon again because, again, people around me weren't playing it, they weren't interested in it, it just never came up, and that was just how it was. And then I caved in. I was like, you know what, these DSs look really cool, I want to get back into video games a little bit. And sure enough, I bought a DS Lite, a nice black one. I still have that too. And the first game I bought for that was actually Pokemon Pearl. And then, of course, when Platinum came out, I was like, I have to get it. I just have to. I have to get it. It's like Pearl, but it's Platinum. Kind of the same thing as Ruby Sapphire to Emerald. That same kind of deal. There was Pearl, Diamond, and then Platinum came out, combining the two stories a little bit and kind of making its own game that way. And fixing up things here and there, except for Platinum's save times. Holy moly, those took minutes. I could go to the bathroom, come back in the game, and still be saving depending on how much stuff I did. Take a wild guess what Pokemon I picked for Pearl. Yeah, you know, Chimchar. He's right there, he's staring right at me right there. I see him. In his little beady eyes. I see it. Look at him. Look at the Christmas hat. That's coming back soon. But take a wild guess what I picked for Platinum. No. Don't. Pokemon Platinum Versus was its own thing. Okay. What I picked for Platinum was actually Turtwig. And it was the first time ever I sat down and was like, you know what? I'm gonna pick a different type. Didn't like the water type because I didn't think penguins looked cool at that time. But it was kind of another reason behind it, because when I played Pearl, you were only limited within whatever Pokemon they had in that dex. Now, for Pearl, before the National Dex, you actually only had 2 fire types to choose from. You only could choose Chimchar and its evolutions, or Ponyta. So when Platinum came out, I didn't know that they would have more, okay? I didn't know, so I was like, you know what, I'm not going to repeat what I did, I'm going to go Turtwig, and it was great. Like, I had no regrets. Turtwig was probably one of the coolest grass types I ever played with. And then a few more years passed, and then Heart Gold came out. Heart Gold and Soul Silver. I was just like, I have to get it because I love Silver so much. Oh my god. And I was gonna get Soul Silver, okay? Here's the thing. I typically get my games based off of what my younger sister is gonna get. If she's getting Diamond, I got Pearl. As manly as Pearls are to get. So when it came down to Heart Gold and Soul Silver, I asked her, which one are you getting? She said, Soul Silver. I'm like, okay, I'm getting Heart Gold then, so we can trade. That was always the deal. We'd always promise to trade version exclusives, but you know, we actually never did. There was always that promise that we would, but then we just forget. New game comes out, we promise the same thing, we do it over again. It just happens that way. But, of course, when I got Heart Gold, I got Cyndaquil again. Just feeding my nostalgia vein right there. Basically the same kind of engine as Pearl, Platinum, Diamond. So it was familiar. They did add a couple interesting things. Like, they tried new things, and I think that's what I've liked about the Pokemon games, that they're always trying something new. Which is a great segue into Pokemon White. Yes, and I got White because my sister says she wants to get Black, okay? Big surprise there. And when it came to Pokemon White 2 and Pokemon Black 2, I convinced her to just stick with the color that she had. And for both times, I picked Tepig because personally, I didn't really like the other starters. I wasn't crazy about Tepig either, let me be honest, because for the 3rd time in a row, the fire starter with a subtype fighting. Come on, guys. Come on, Nintendo. Game Freak. Whoever plans that stuff, you gotta... Come on, give us something new, not just his new mechanics. But something else cool was happening around that time, for me at least, for Pokemon White, White 2. I actually, somehow, I don't know how, I convinced Luna to play as well. She was interested enough that I actually did get her White and White 2. She liked it, and as soon as she got up to Elite Four, she stopped playing. She did not care for the grinding that an RPG brings to the table, which most people actually don't like to do. That's just how that was for that. But it was cool. I still got her to be interested in Pokemon games because I've always loved Pokemon games. Oh, I just remembered. I don't even know how I forgot this. Grade 6. This is when Red was still out. Silver hadn't come out yet. At least I don't think it did, because they were trying to hype up the Gold and Silver series, Johto, as a whole. There was this book, I still have it, it's up there on my shelf, and it was the first 150 Pokemon, but it was in, I gotta get it. So it was this book right here. Alright, I don't know if this is going to show up properly on the screen, and I hope it does. Official Pokemon Handbook. And literally, in the pages, it's all the Pokemon, all their like technical stats, height, what type they are, their weight, the techniques they learn. I read this thing like the Bible, and which is really bad to say considering I actually went to a Catholic school. But whenever we had reading time, that is the book I read. I read that book in and out, over and over again, and just memorized it for some reason. I didn't have to, I just wanted to. So that's, I think why Pokemon has affected me so much in my life is because I had such an interest in it that I was willing to study it. And not on like the technical like EV training and all that stuff at that time, but it was still interesting enough for me to be willing to dive into it like that, especially at a young age. And then Generation 6 showed up, and people were hyped up about it, just like I was. And surprisingly enough, with that generation, a lot more people got interested in playing Pokemon. People that would be like, I will never play Pokemon, they're playing Pokemon. They were really interested with how Game Freak and Nintendo changed the look of it. Same game mechanic, same way you move around in the world, same all that. But just the way it looked when you're battling, and even when you're maneuvering around the overworld, it looked amazing. People loved it. I loved it. For me, it was two things that sold it for me. One was, of course, them bring in so much new stuff. A new engine altogether, the Mega Evolutions, just that alone sold me. I was like, I want to know what this is about. What also would have sold me on its own was the amount of nostalgia that they brought back to the series, because you were allowed to get a second starter, which was a starter from Kanto, either Charmander, Bulbasaur, or Squirtle. And I believe it was up to you on what you wanted to choose. And it was amazing. But see, and that was the other thing that was really good about X and Y. They still had the experience share in the game, but it didn't apply to one Pokemon this time. It applied to the entire team as long as you had it on. So you didn't have to worry about grinding levels ever. You could. It was just they made it faster. But you were never at all stopped in your tracks trying to face off against a gym leader because you didn't level up your team properly. Your team grew with you as you progressed. And I think that was a really big selling factor for those that wanted to get into Pokemon but didn't want to worry about the level grinding. They did good, and I still play mine once in a while. But I am more excited for the next game coming up, which is the point of this video right now at least. I did want to go over a history of how Pokemon affected my life, but at the same time, there's so much to cover. So again, you've sat through all this. Now there's another game coming out already, and that is the remakes for Ruby and Sapphire, OmegaRuby, and AlphaSapphire. Me personally, I'm getting OmegaRuby, Lunar's Gate, AlphaSapphire. That's just kind of how we roll, you know, because red, blue, that's just how we mold together. As for starters, I don't know yet, because X and Y had Torchic, and Torchic had a Mega Evolution already, and I think we're all kind of Torchic'd out at this point. I think everyone is willing to check out what the other Pokemon are. I know I am. Don't know if I'm going to go for the Mudkip or I'm going to go for the Trico. I don't know yet. Might literally be at that moment I'm going to be like, that one. It'll just depend on how things roll. And I'm also very happy to see what they did with the Hoenn region again. I know it's a remake, so a lot of things are going to look the same, but I really want to hear that music, because the music from X and Y is just, it's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. And I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear what your Pokemon story is. And in the very least, are you going to get OmegaRuby and AlphaSapphire? If so, what starter? Heck, what even your team's going to be, if you really want to tell me. If you do, feel free to share. I think everyone will be happy to hear it. I know I will be. And I look forward to maybe even battling some of you guys down the road. I think that'd be a lot of fun. So, that's my history. What's yours? And until then, you guys, this is SolarPrimal's sign out. And, bye for now. Beep, beep, beep. Beep.